Shabbat Shalom, welcome back to the Light to the Nations channel. In this video, in the second video on this Shabbat, I want to share with you and want to continue somehow with the analysis of the Kehunah. In the previous video we discussed about the connection, if we saw that there's no connection actually at all between the Nasir vow and the Kehunah, the priesthood. And in that video, I share something with you that there are many people that believes that Shemu'el, the prophet, Shemu'el, his name in Hebrew is Shemu'el, was a Cohen. Some people understand that he was only a prophet, a Nabi, but other people believes that Shemu'el was a Cohen, a priest. And I was sharing with you, it was a comment only on that video that the Debar of YaHuWaH, the word of YaHuWaH, it teaches that Shemu'el wasn't a Cohen, wasn't a priest, he was a Shophet, a judge. So this is the study or the topic that I want to share with you today in this video. And as in the previous one, we're not going to use any presentation. We are just going to use the notes that I have over here. And the important thing is we're going to use the Debar of YaHuWaH. So please take your scriptures because you are going to need it in this video. We're going to read along together the different scriptures, the different passages in the Debar of YaHuWaH. Okay, so basically, to summarize, we are going to talk about what was the role of Shemu'el, if he really was a Shophet, a judge, or if he was a Cohen, a priest. And we will see that we're going to confirm directly from the Debar of YaHuWaH why I'm saying that Shemu'el wasn't a priest, wasn't a Cohen. So we will start for sure in the book of Shemu'el, Shemu'el Aleph, first Shemu'el. And we are going to start in the chapter 2. We all know the story of Shemu'el, how Hannah was barren and she prayed to YaHuWaH in order to receive a child, and she put the vow. And I was sharing with you in the previous video that part of the vow is that no razor will come to the head of Shemu'el. So by understanding that, we can deduct that, or we can assume somehow that Shemu'el was under a Nasir vow, and part of the promise, the vow of Hannah, is that she will bring Shemu'el to live in the tabernacle together with the priest, and the priest at that moment was Eli. Okay, so that's the entire story of Shemu'el. So let's go to chapter 2. Chapter 2, let's read first the verse 12, and it says the following. Shemu'el Aleph, this is 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 12. It says, and the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They did not know YaHuWaH. Okay, so important to keep that in mind. Let's jump to the verse 17. It says, and the sin of the young men, if you read in context the previous one, the young men is talking about the two sons of Eli that were sons of Belial. The sins of the young men was very great before YaHuWaH, for the men despised the offering of YaHuWaH. So we see the sons of Eli being sons of Belial, not knowing YaHuWaH and sinning against YaHuWaH, despising the offering of YaHuWaH. So, because of that, somehow there was a curse on Eli and his house, and we can read about it in the verse 27 in the same chapter. So, it says the following, and a man of Elohim came to Eli and said to him, thus said YaHuWaH, did I not clearly reveal myself to the house of your father when they were in Mizraim, in Pharaoh's house, even to choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to offer upon my slaughter place, to burn incense, and to wear a shoulder garment before me? And did I not give to the house of your father all the offerings of the children of Israel by my fire? Why do you kick at my slaughtering and my offering, which I have commanded in my dwelling place, and esteem your sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the best of all the offering of Israel my people? Therefore, YaHuWaH Elohim of Israel declares, I said indeed that your house and the house of your father would walk before me forever. But now YaHuWaH declares, far be it from me, for those who highly esteem me, I highly esteem, and those who despise me are lightly esteemed. See, the days are coming, that I shall cut off your arm and the arm of your father's house, so that an old man shall not be found in your house. And you shall see, in the verse 32, and you shall see an enemy in my dwelling place, despise all the good which Elohim does for Israel, and there shall not be an old man in your house forever. But any of your men, whom I do not cut off from my slaughter place, is to consume your eyes and grieve your life, and all the increase of your house die as men. And this is the sign to you that comes upon your two sons, upon Hophni and Pinehas. In one day they are going to die, both of them. And listen to the verse 35, because this is important, and here is somehow the confusion. And I shall raise up for myself a trustworthy priest, a trustworthy Cohen, who does according to what is in my heart and in my being. And I shall build him a steadfast house, and he shall walk before my anointed forever. And it shall be that everyone who is left in your house shall come and bow down to him for a piece of silver and a cake of bread, and say, please put me in one of the priestly positions to eat a piece of bread. So we see this is an amazing word that came directly from YaHuWaH to Eli. And why this is because of the sin of his son, is that basically his descendant is going to be removed completely from the priesthood. And he's saying, this is a terrible word, because we just saw everything that was commented here on what's going to happen with them. Even the son is going to be the death of his two sons. Okay? And it says that YaHuWaH shall rise up for himself a trustworthy Cohen. So most of the people believe that what happened at the moment of Eli, because if you read in context the following chapter, is that who took the leadership after Eli and his sons died? It was Shemu'el. Okay, so people believe that because of that, it was Shemu'el the one that was YaHuWaH speaking about in this promise to Eli, that the Cohen, the trustworthy Cohen, that he is gonna rise up for himself, people believe that it was Shemu'el. Okay, so we have a confirmation of this word in the chapter 3 of the same book, and this is the amazing story of how Shemu'el listened for the first time the voice of YaHuWaH. And if we read in the verse 11, chapter 3, verse 11, it says, And YaHuWaH said to Shemu'el, See, I am doing a matter in Israel, at which both ears of everyone who hears it shall tingle. In that day I shall confirm against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from beginning to end. For I have declared to him that I am judging his house forever, for the crookedness which he knows, because his sons cursed Elohim, and he did not rebuke them. This is so an important word, that this is the responsibility for us as parents to teach our children the Debar of YaHuWaH. It's our responsibility to guide them in the path of YaHuWaH. Don't forget that. This is quite important. Let's continue in the verse 14. And therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli, that the crookedness of the house of Eli shall never be atoned for, by slaughtering or grain offering. So it's important to understand that the curse was, as is written over here, for the house of Eli. It wasn't, because there are some people taking this verse out of context, saying that this is the replacements of the kehunah, the priesthood, that was taken from the seed of Aharon and was given to somebody else. It's not like that, because the curse, and it's written over here in the 14, let me read it for you again. It says, "And therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli," is the house of Eli, "that the crookedness of the house of Eli shall never be atoned." It's only for the house of Eli. So that's why it's so important to understand the genealogy of the house of Eli. We are not going to cover that part in this video. It's going to be a second one. But it's quite important to understand who was the house of Eli, and how the house of Eli is connected to the seed of Aharon. Okay? So basically, this is the introduction. This is basically all the text that people take in consideration in order to believe that Shemuel was a Cohen, a priest. But we see in the same chapter, let's read in the verse 19 to the 21, sorry. It says, "And Shemuel grew up, and YaHuWaH was with him, and did not let any of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, knew that Shemuel had been established as a Nabi, as a prophet of YaHuWaH. And YaHuWaH continued to appear in Shiloh, because YaHuWaH revealed himself to Shemuel in Shiloh by the word of YaHuWaH." So Shemuel was living in Shiloh. Is from that point, that place that Eli was leading and judging and guiding Israel. And we see here the confirmation that Shemuel was a prophet, was a Nabi. And we need to understand this, because also we see in the words of Peter, I think in one of his letters on the book of Maaseh, I don't remember by heart now, but he said, it's in the book of Maaseh, when he spoke after the Ruach HaKodesh descended in the 120, in the day of Shavuot. Peter said, referring himself to the Melech David, the King David, he was saying that David was also a prophet. So we find in the throughout the Debar of YaHuWaH that being a prophet is a kind of a secondary role, is an additional role, okay, that we can have. We can be, I don't know, it's like in our life, we can be parents or a father, in my case, but I can be a son as well. So it's exactly the same. In my work, I have another title. So it's exactly the same in the kingdom of YaHuWaH. We can be, in this case, David was a melech, a king, but he was always also a prophet, a Nabi. And in this case of Shemuel, we see that he was a Nabi, but he's also having a second role. The people believe that is a priest, a Cohen, but we will see it's not a Cohen, it's a judge. So how we can understand this? And let me check the notes. And first, let's review why Shemuel wasn't a Cohen. And we will see that during the life of Shemuel, there were Kohenims living at the same time, and they were serving as Kohenim. So let's go to the chapter 14 of First Samuel, Shemuel Aleph, chapter 14. Most of the readings that we are going to do is in the same book. So in the chapter 14, verse 3. And in order to have it in context, I'm going to start reading for the verse 1 to the verse 3. Okay? So it says the following, chapter 14, verse 1. "And it came to be one day that Jehunathan, son of Shaul, said to the young men who bore his armor, 'Come and let us go over to the outpost of the Philistines, which is on the other side.' But he did not inform his father. And Shaul remained at the outskirts of Gibeah, under the pomegranate tree at Migron. And the people who were with him were about 600 men. And listen to this. And Ahijah, son Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Pinehas, son of Eli, the priest of YaHuWaH in Shiloh, was wearing a shoulder garment, and the people did not know that Jehonathan had gone. So we see here that was a descendant of Eli, still alive. And we know that Eli was a priest. Okay? So it was this person called Ahijah that was son of Ahitub. He was a descendant of one of the sons of Eli called Pinehas, was the priest at that moment and wearing the shoulder garment. If we read in the verse 19 in the same chapter, it says the following. And it came to be, while Shaul talked to the priest. And let me read the verse 18 first. It says the following. And Shaul said to Ahijah, we are talking exactly to the same person, the same guy, Ahijah, son of Ahitub, son of Pinehas, son of Eli. Shaul said to Ahijah, bring the ark of Elohim here, for the ark of Elohim was with the children of Israel on that day, and we know it was the work, the responsibility of the Kohenim to be responsible of the ark of YaHuWaH. Verse 19, and it came to be while Shaul talked to the priest. So it is recognized here that Ahijah was a priest, that the noise which was in the camp of the Philistine went on and became great. So Shaul said to the priest again, withdraw your hand. And let's read the verse 36. 35 and 36, it says, and Shaul built a slaughter place to YaHuWaH. It was the first slaughter place he built to YaHuWaH. And Shaul said, let us go down after the Philistines by night, and plunder them until the morning light, and not leave a man of them. And they said, do whatever seems good to you. But the priest said, let us draw near to Elohim here. So who was the priest? Is the same priest that Shaul was talking before. It was Ahijah, son of Ahitub, son of Pinehas, son of Eli. So if you read in the entire book, you will see that Shemu'el was still alive during those moments. Shemu'el, the death of Shemu'el is coming later in the book. I think it's in the chapter 20 something, 24, 25. I don't remember by heart, but you can read it and check it by yourself. Shemu'el is still alive. So we see a priest that is working in the same period of time that Shemu'el was leading Israel. Okay, and we cannot have two priests. It could be a priest, a Cohen Hagadol, but it's not the case, and we will see it why. So let's go to the second witness. This is in the chapter 21, 1 Samuel, Shemuel Aleph, chapter 21, verse 1 to 9. And it says the following, and David came to Nob, listen to this, to Ahimelech, the priest, the Cohen. So there was a priest, another priest, Nob, Ahijah, was another one, Ahimelech, on the days of David. And Ahimelech trembled when he met David, and asked him, why are you alone, and no one is with you? And David said to Ahimelech, the priest, the Cohen, the sovereign has commanded me a word, and said to me, let no one know whatever of the word about which I send you, and which I have commanded you. And I have directed my young men to such and such a place. And now, what do you have on hand? Give 5 loaves into my hand, or whatever is found. And the Cohen, the priest, answered David and said, there is no ordinary bread on hand, but there is Kodesh bread, set apart bread, provided the young men have kept themselves from women. And David answered the priest, and said to him, Truly, women have been kept from us about 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are set apart, are Kodesh. And it is an ordinary mission, and also it was set apart in the vessel today. Then the Cohen, the priest, Ahimelech, gave him set apart bread, for there was no bread there except the showbread, which has been taken from before YaHuWaH, in order to put hot bread in on the day it is taken away. And if you read the Torah, all these changes in bringing new bread is being done on the Shabbat, during the Shabbat. So all the story here was happening during a Shabbat. Okay? And we see that basically the priests, the Kohenim, are the responsible to do all this work. And we see Kohenim still alive when Shemu'el, during the life of Shemu'el. Let's continue in the verse 7. Now one of the servants of Shaul was there that day, detained before YaHuWaH, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chief of the herdsmen who belonged to Shaul. And David said to Ahimelech, Is there not here on hand a spear or a sword? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the matter of the sovereign was urgent. And the Cohen, the priest, said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you struck in the valley of Elah, see, it is wrapped in a garment behind the shoulder garment. If you would take it, for there is not other except this one here. And David said, There is none like it, give it to me. So we see the entire story here, and when you read it in context, the verse 20 and the 22, the chapter 20 and the chapter 22, you see that David was escaping from Shaul because Shaul wanted to kill David. And we see in the chapter 21 the entire story between David and Ahimelech, the priest. It's important because what we're going to read in the next chapter is important because it's connected to what we already read. So we see the important point here is that during the life of Shemu'el, because Shemu'el was still alive, that there was Kohenim. Ahimelech was a Kohenim, and they were serving in the tabernacle. They were serving YaHuWaH with the showbread, with the shoulder garment, and so on. So let's read the chapter 22, verse 6 to 23. Chapter 22, verse 6 to 23. And it says the following, And Shaul heard that David and the men who were with him had been discovered, while Shaul was in Giv'ah, sitting under the tamarisk tree in Ramah, with his spear in his hand and all his servants standing about him. And Shaul said to his servants, who were standing around him, Hear now, you Benjamites, Does the son of Yishai give every one of you fields and vineyards, and make you all commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds? For all of you have conspired against me, and there is no one who reveals to me that my son has made a covenant with the son of Yishai, referring to David. And there is not one of you who is grieved for me or reveals to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me, to lie in wait as it is this day. And Doeg the Edomite, who was set over the servants of Shaul, answered and said, I saw the son of Yishai going to Nob, to Ahimelech, son of Ahitub. So we see the amazing connection with what we already saw in the chapter 14 and in the chapter 21. Ahimelech was son of Ahitub as well, in the same way of Ahijah. Ahijah and Ahimelech were sons of Ahitub, and Ahitub is son of Pinehas, son of Eli. This is part of the house of Eli, still alive. And keep in mind the curse over upon the house of Eli. Okay? I'm laughing because it's so amazing to see how the word of YaHuWaH is speaking by itself. Verse 10. And he inquired of YaHuWaH for him, gave him food, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. And the sovereign sent someone to call Ahimelech the priest, son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests who were in Nob, and they all came to the sovereign. And Shaul said, Hear now, son of Ahitub. And he answered, Here I am, my master. And Shaul said to him, Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Yishai, by giving him bread and a sword, and have inquired of Elohim for him to rise against me, to lie in wait, as it is this day? And Ahimelech answered the sovereign and said, And who among all your servants is so trustworthy as David, who is the sovereign's son-in-law, and has turned aside to your counsel and is esteemed in your house? Have I today begun to inquire of Elohim for him? Far be it from me. Let not the sovereign lay a case against his servant, or against any in the house of my father, for your servant knew not of all this, little or much. And the sovereign said, You shall certainly die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's house. Keep in mind the curse upon the house of Eli. And somehow we are seeing a fulfillment here in the words of Shaul. Let's continue, verse 17. The sovereign then said to the guards who stood about him, Turn and put the priest of YaHuWaH to death. What an unbelievable situation. Killing the priest, the Cohenim of YaHuWaH. Because their hand also is with David, and because they knew when he fled and did not reveal it to me. But the servants of the sovereign would not lift their hands to come against the priest of YaHuWaH. Why? Because of the fear of YaHuWaH. The same fear of YaHuWaH that we need to have in our hearts. How we are going to go against what YaHuWaH has commanded and to whom YaHuWaH has appointed. The important thing here is to keep in mind that there was a curse upon the house of Eli, and that's why all this situation is happening. Let's continue in the verse 18. And the sovereign said to Doeg, You turn and come against the priests. So Doeg, the Edomite, turned and came against the priest and put to death on that day 85 men who wore a linen shoulder garment. There were 85 Kohenim that were put to death by an Edomite because the people of Israel didn't want to do it because of the fear of YaHuWaH. There were 85 Kohenim during the life of Shemu'el. Important because this is the point that we're studying. Let's continue in the verse 19. And he struck Nob, the city of the priest. Nob was a city of Kohenim. The Kohenim were assigned with city, and this is important also to keep in mind because I'm gonna mention something later in this video about it. He struck Nob, the city of the Kohenim, with the edge of the sword, from men even to women, from children even to nursing infants. Unbelievable. And oxen and donkeys and sheep, with the edge of the sword. And one of the sons of Ahimelech, listen to this, important, sons of Ahitub, named Ebiatar, escaped and fled after David. One of them got safe. So the entire house of Eli didn't disappear in this moment. All the family, all the descendants of Eli died, but one of them, called Ebiatar, managed to escape, and he went to David. Why this is so important? Because the word of YaHuWaH doesn't come void. If he said that he's gonna terminate all the house of Eli, is because he was intended to do it. But we see here that one descendant is still alive, called Ebiatar. So in one moment later, the house of Eli needs to disappear. So we see Ebiatar was a Kohenim as well. This is important to keep in mind. So one of the sons of Ahimelech, son of Ahitub, named Ebiatar, escaped and fled after David. And Ebiatar reported to David that Shaul had killed the priest of YaHuWaH, and David said to Ebiatar, I knew that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would certainly inform Shaul, I am accountable for all the lives of your father's house. Remain with me, do not fear, for he who seeks my life seeks your life, but with me you are safe. So we see that Abiathar was standing next to David. The other point that I want to make here by reading these passages that, again, we see Kohanim working at the same moment that Shemuel was alive. So it's not possible at all, just reading these passages, that Shemuel could be a Kohanim, because Kohanim existed at the same time. And as we saw in the previous video, when we were speaking about the Nasir vow and the Kehunah, the priesthood, we saw that only the seed of Aharon is the one appointed to be Kohanim forever. So we need to understand, and this is going to be the second witness, that if Shemuel is coming from the seed of Aharon or not. Okay? So let's continue. We will see now here in the notes, now that we already saw that there were Kohanim during his life, Shemuel's life, we will see that Shemuel was really a Nabi and a Shophet. So we already saw that Shemuel is called a Nabi in the chapter 3, verse 20, 21. So let's go to the chapter 7. And keep in mind, because in the video when I was sharing with you about the Kehunah, I also mentioned that about three different roles that we see in the Torah. The role of the Cohen, the role of the Levite, and the role of the Shophet. So there are three roles. Three of them very important in the kingdom of YaHuWaH. So let's go to the chapter 7, verse 15 and 17. It says, And Shemuel rightly ruled Israel all the days of his life. The word rightly ruled is Shophat, okay, that is related to Shophet. Shophet is the person judging, is the judge. Shophat is the action, is the verb. 16. And each year he made the rounds of Beitel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and rightly ruled again, Shophat, Israel in all those places. Then he returned to Ramah, for his home was there. And there he rightly ruled, again, Shophat, or judge, Israel, and there he built a slaughter place to YaHuWaH. So basically we see here that Shemuel was judging Israel. He was Shophat Israel. Is the same word that coming from Shophet is the same Hebrew word that means a judge. Okay? We have more evidence of this in the chapter 8, verse 1. Sorry. Chapter 8, verse 1, it says, And it came to be, when Shemuel was old, that he made his sons rulers over Israel. If you take a look in the Hebrew word, the word rulers is the Hebrew word Shofetim. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Is the word Shofetim. And actually, we have a book in the scripture, in the Debar of YaHuWaH, called Judges. The Hebrew word for this is Shofetim. For this book is Shofetim. So we see that Shemuel wanted to make his sons Shofetim. This is an indication that Shemuel was a Shophet, in the same way that Yahushua ben Nun was a Shophet, in the same way that Shimshon was a Shophet, in the same way that Deborah was a Shophet, and Otoniel was a Shophet as well. In the same way, Shemuel was a Shophet. He was judging, he was leading the people of YaHuWaH, and it's my belief, my understanding that Moshe was a Shophet as well. Okay? So we have a second witness here. It's in the same chapter 8, verse 4 to 7. Um, let's read completely from, let's continue from verse 2 to the 7, and it says, and the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abijah, and this is very important, rulers in Beersheba, Shophetim in Beersheba. And his sons, listen to this, did not walk in his ways, and turned aside after own gain, and took bribes and twisted right ruling. So his sons were acting as Shophetim, but they were not right in the way of YaHuWaH. They were twisting the right ruling, the Mishpatim. And all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Shemuel at Ramah, and said to him, look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a sovereign to rule us like all the nations. So basically what's happening here, and this is very important, is that Shemuel was the one leading and ruling, judging, acting as a Shophet over Israel. And since Shemuel was old and he wanted to appoint his sons to be Shophetim after him, the people saw that what was the behavior of his sons, and they were somehow afraid. And they asked Shemuel, somebody else, to put a melech, to Shophat, to judge, to rule Israel. Okay? And listen to this, the verse 6. But the word was evil in the eyes of Shemuel when they say, give us a sovereign to rule us. So Shemuel prayed to YaHuWaH. And YaHuWaH said to Shemuel, listen to this, very important. Listen to the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from reigning over them. So why this word from the people was so evil in the eyes of Shemuel? Because Shemuel felt that the people were rejecting him to rule. Because that's the word of YaHuWaH. They have not rejected you. They have rejected me to reign over them. Why Shemuel felt this? Because he was ruling, he was the Shophet, and the people were asking to have a melech to judge them and rule them instead of Shemuel or instead of his sons. So it was a change. In this moment, this precise moment was a change. No more Shophetim, because in this moment started the Melechim, the kings. Okay? So the important point here is that we see directly from the Debar of YaHuWaH is that Shemuel is considered a Nabi, is considered a Shophet. A Shophet is not a Kohenim, is not the same role as the Kohenim. And we saw that during his life there were Kohenim still alive from the house of Eli. So it was the seed of Eli, the one acting as a Kohenim, and Shemuel was following and was chosen by YaHuWaH to be a Shophet to lead Israel, having the Kohenim beside him. Okay? So this is the second witness, okay? And the third witness, and this is very, very important, okay? And let me read, because this is also a confusion on the people. That there's some people that believe that Shemuel is coming from the tribe of Ephraim, because Elkanah, his father, was coming from Ephraim. But this is also a misunderstanding, and we will see very clearly here in the Debar of YaHuWaH. Let's go to the chapter 1 of Shemuel Aleph, 1 Samuel. Chapter 1, verse 1. It says the following. And there was a certain man of Ramathayim, Sophim, of the mountains of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Suf, an Ephraimite, from the tribe of Ephraim. He was the husband of Hannah. So, when we read this, we could understand that, okay, yes, he is coming from Ephraim. He is from the tribe of Ephraim. So far, therefore, Shemuel is also from the tribe of Ephraim. But it's not exactly that. Okay? And how we can see this? Let's go to again to the chapter 8, and this is the way that we are gonna discover the truth directly from the Debar of YaHuWaH. We just read in the chapter 8, verse 2, that Shemuel had 2 sons, and it says in the verse 2 that, and the name of his firstborn, the Bikur of Shemuel, was Joel, and the name of his second, Abijah, rulers of Beersheba. So the firstborn son of Shemuel was called Joel. Okay, let's keep that in mind, because now we need to go to the Sefer Divrei Hayamin Aleph. This is Second Chronicles. First Chronicles. First Chronicles, Divrei Hayamin Aleph, chapter 6. Second Chronicles, chapter 6, verse 33. Let me read from the verse 32 to verse 33. This is First Chronicles, Divrei Hayamin Aleph, chapter 6, verse 32 and 33. And it says, and they were rendering service in song before the dwelling place of the tent of appointment, until Shlomo had built the house of YaHuWaH in Jerusalem. And they performed their duties according to their rulings. And these are the ones who stood with their sons. And listen to this, of the sons of the Kehatites. This is Kehat, is one of the Levites. Okay, were Heman the singer, son of Joel, son of Shemuel, son of Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Eliel, son of Toah, son of Suf, and so on and so on. So we see here in the genealogy of there was a singer from the tribe of the Kehatites, that was from the tribe of Levi, called Heman. And this Heman was the singer, and he was the son of Joel, son of Shemuel, son of Elkanah. So we see here clearly that Elkanah, Shemuel, and Joel, and in this case Heman, are coming from the tribe of Levi. So how we can understand that in First Shemuel chapter 1, we see that Elkanah was from the tribe of Ephraim, or coming from the mountain of Ephraim, because the Kohenim were assigned. You remember that they didn't inherit any land, but the tribe of Israel assigned to them cities in all the tribes, all the land. So there were Kohenim living in all the tribes, together with all the tribes of Israel. So in this case, the seed of the Kehatites, in this case Elkanah and Shemuel, were living in the tribe of Ephraim, and that's why they were considered from the tribe of Ephraim, or Ephraimites, but they were coming from the seed of the Levites. And this is very important, because by understanding this, we see that Shemuel was a Levite. And we saw previously in the other video that even Korah, when he wanted to take over on the Kehunah, Korah was a Levite. He couldn't do it, and he died. So, and we saw the amazing word from YaHuWaH, and we spoke about this in the previous video, that only the seed coming from Aharon are the ones that are going to be Kohenim. Even the Levites that are so close, they cannot become Levites. So in this case, we see that the direct connection that Shemuel was a Levite from the tribe of Levi. So there were no way for him to become a Kohenim. Okay. So last point that I wanted to share with you in this video is that about the curse over the house of Levi, and also the promise that YaHuWaH was going to raise up a Kohenim that is going to be a trustworthy one, that is going to walk on his way. So we see that it's impossible that Shemuel was that Kohenim that YaHuWaH was speaking about. Is another one. So And we saw also that Ebiatar, the son of Ahimelech, managed to escape. So the house of Eli is still alive during the story. Okay, so let's go to the book of Melachim. Melachim Aleph. This is First King. Melachim Aleph. First King, chapter 2, verse 27. And this is the last point that we will review. Verse 2, verse 27. You remember that Ebiatar was the one escaping and was living together with David. So let's read the 26 and the 27. And it says, Then the sovereign said to Ebiatar the priest, the same person, Ebiatar the priest, Go to Anatoth, to your own fields, for you deserve death. But I do not put you to death at this time, because you did bear the ark of the Master YaHuWaH before my father David, and because you were afflicted in all my father was afflicted in. So Shlomo dismissed Ebiatar from being priest to YaHuWaH, and listen to this, to fill the word of YaHuWaH, which he spoke concerning the house of Eli at Shiloh. So, if we remember what YaHuWaH spoke to Eli, he said that his descendants, most of them were going to die, but mostly what's going to happen that he rejected the house of Eli of being a priest. And this is exactly here in this moment with Shlomo that we are seeing this coming true. The last descendant that was able to escape from the death was dismissed by Shlomo from being a priest to YaHuWaH, and this is the amazing thing by letting the scripture to interpret itself, because it says to fill the word of YaHuWaH, which he spoke concerning the house of Eli at Shiloh. So, just checking here the Debar of YaHuWaH, we are able to understand any truth, and we see that Shemu'el wasn't a Cohen, he was a Shophet. There were Kohenim living at that time, and the priest, the Cohen, the trustworthy Cohen that YaHuWaH promised to rise up for him is not Shemu'el, is somebody else. So that's it. I hope it was clear. You can follow with me the scriptures. In any case, if you are not able to understand some of the points, like always, my invitation, send me an email to light2everynation@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to try to help you and support you in this journey and in the search for the truth of YaHuWaH. Thank you for watching this video. Enjoy your Shabbat, and see you in the next video. Ciao, shalom. Bye.